It's not often that a company dissolves and years later is revived not only under the same name, but under the same leadership as well, and for similar reasons. Such is the case for the commercial emulation developer Digital Eclipse, whose history dates back a lot farther than the modern iteration would lead you to believe. Founded in 1992 by Andrew Ayer, the studio initially began as a technology startup, but quickly transitioned into the gaming market after realizing there was a market for their product, namely, producing commercial emulations of classic arcade games, such as Joust, Defender, and Robotron 84. These initial titles were released on Mac OS only, and soon after, Digital Eclipse began producing titles on other platforms as well. Their first Windows release was Activision's Commodore 64 15-pack in 1995, and their first home console release was William Arcade Classics on, well, everything under the sun, really. Seriously, this game even saw a release on the Gamecom, the black and white touchscreen console Tiger Electronics produced in the late 90s. Who would have thought? As time went on, Digital Eclipse found another avenue to success. The then recently released Game Boy Color had a processor that was based on the same Zilog Z80 architecture that was common in older arcade machines. While Digital Eclipse initially made no original titles on its own, this all changed in 1999 when they were contracted by Activision to make Tarzan's Game Boy Color release. The game was developed in 3 months under a team of 2 programmers, 10 artists, and 3 level designers. The initial concept of the game was quite ambitious, according to the game's technical director, Mike Micah. Mike also said the following in regards to Game Boy development in an interview with IGN prior to the release of Tarzan on the Game Boy Color.
I think the best games on Game Boy often come from a decent schedule for development, which includes a design phase, research and development, and a final assembly of the game itself. But since Game Boy has taken off so fast lately, it has created a very competitive market out there for developers. If we say we need 6 months to make a game, publishers simply go to somebody who claims they can produce a game in 6 weeks.
Even so, the game went on to use the 16 megabit cart over the intended 8 megabit cart in order to fit the, for the time, insanely impressive FMV intro. The game was praised for its sound quality and animations, and for good reason. It was an excellent first showing from a company not known for its prowess in the field of original titles. However, today we're going to be looking at a far less known and possibly inferior title, 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue. I had this game as a child. In fact, I still do. And it's always captivated me, despite by all appearances being nothing more than a tie-in game to exist because tie-in games exist. The game spans 19 stages, a few bosses, and of course the titular action of rescuing all 102 Dalmatians. The stages consist of a few different types, but the main variant is one where you spawn into the level and need to find a key, then upon finding the key need to find all of the puppy cages throughout and free your friends. The requirement of freeing them all pushes you forward to explore every nook and cranny in each level, and each stage isn't so large that this feels cumbersome. The platforming is pretty good for the time, especially in emulation, where features like RetroArch's lovely run ahead allows you to eliminate a few frames of input lag and make the whole experience that much snappier. Playing through the game again to make this video, I took care to note things that I did and didn't like about the game. The things that I did like, well, the player doesn't feel slow, the music is incredibly catchy, the animations have a lot of personality, and the level design is pretty solid. However, there is one thing that sticks out that just couldn't get out of my mind. The fact that waiting is a mechanic. The speed of the platforms and the speed of the player and just some of the setups for various platforming means that if you miss that jump, or not even miss the jump, but miss the rotation of that platform moving away, you have to wait another up to like 10, 15 seconds in order to continue. And it just fucking sucks. I hate waiting as a mechanic. That being said, the only other nitpick that I have for this game that isn't purely pertaining to how that works is that some of the sound effects get really grating after a while. The sound effect of your attack, the bark, is very grating, and if you have to use it a lot, it's just going to overlap a lot, like this. Lovely, right? Initially, I was going to add the inclusion of the password system to the list of gripes, but honestly, after playing it a fair bit and realizing that I was just dying out of stupidity and not really out of difficulty, I think it's fine. Honestly, the password system, it's only 4 characters. You really don't have to change a lot of the characters in the first place. It's pretty robust. The developer has actually gone on record as saying that they would prefer having battery backups in their games rather than password systems, so maybe that's why it's, like, legible. Bouncing back to the good stuff about this game, I mentioned that the music was incredibly catchy. Now, there's really not a lot of music tracks in this game, and they repeat fairly often as they're fairly short, but they're really, really catchy. Like, I found myself actually sitting there and instead of speeding up the game with the speed up function in an emulator to get past horrible wait times, I'd actually just chill the music. It's pretty good. It's pretty fun stuff. It's good. All in all, this game was pretty neat, and the main reason I took a look at it today was because it was one of the few games I had as a very young child that wasn't just straight trash. I'm looking at you, Eminem's GBA game and Elmo's Counting Adventure on the N64. I found out a lot about the developer of said game, and found myself trying to find all the information I could on the initial version of the company Digital Eclipse. They worked with a large number of publishers over the years, like Midway, Disney Interactive, even Capcom. The quirkiness of all these titles just seemed to be too captivating, I guess. I was initially intending to do like a fuller style review, but then I realized that really there's not enough there to go around, and I'm not actually a pro at this game, and actually going through and doing a good run of every single level would be out of my skill gap. So I'm gonna leave it there, and I think that this game is fun enough to try, maybe not even finish, but there's passwords if you need to. Next time I'll be looking at a different game on a different console. Maybe I won't even be looking at a game. Who knows? I don't know what the hell I'm up to anyways. Alright, this has been SLUMcore. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure bringing this content to you, and I hope to have another video up in a few days. Catch you next time on the SLUMBOX. Yeah! Are we done?